I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Isaiah chapter 5. Now this one's a little bit, I'm not quite sure if it is a direct continuation from chapter 4. I'll talk about it in a minute, but here we go. This is what we got. The Lord's vineyard, meaning Israel, shall become desolate, and his people be scattered. Woes shall come upon them in their apostate and scattered state. The Lord shall lift an ensign and gather Israel. Compare Nephi chapter 15. I also want to mention that this video does have a Joseph Smith translation in it. What the Joseph Smith translation is, this is an inspired translation or correction of the Bible done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that had been lost over the years. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard, that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought forth it wild grapes. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste, it shall not be pruned, nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. Now, as I said, I think this might not be a direct follow or a direct continuation of chapter 4. 2, 3, and 4 are clearly all one prophecy, but this seems to be Isaiah's kind of reaction to the prophecy. He's given this vision, he's given this prophecy from God, and then he writes this poem or this song. And this is his words, this is his, still under a prophetic gift, but not part of the revelation and prophecy that he just wrote, but more he's now writing his own thoughts, putting it into his own words, his musings on this prophecy. So that's what we're getting here, I think. And this is very reminiscent of Jacob chapter 5, right? Jacob chapter 5, I believe, is quoting the prophet Zenock, or Zenock, one of the two. And clearly, that prophet lived sometime before the Babylonian captivity because his writings are on the brass plates. I think he probably lived before Isaiah. I think he lived sometime when, probably after the kingdoms were divided. And I get the impression that Isaiah's writing here is not quoting Zenock or Zenos, one of the two. But I think he is inspired by the guy's writing. But let us continue. Verse 8. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. In mine ears, said the Lord of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and the seed of an homer shall yield an ephah. Now, I like this, that join house to house. This is a good description of modern cities. How close together are the houses? I mean, in England, your townhouses, you don't have any space between them. They're literally just one continuous building, and then you're just renting or buying a section of that building, kind of like duplexes in the United States, but there's covered an entire block. It's more like an apartment complex. And God said, you're living too close together. There's no place to be alone and consider and think and meditate on the things of the Lord. And the desolation here, 10 acres yielding one bath, and the seed of a homer yielding an ephah. This is I can't remember the exact measurement. I think it's like 10 ephahs equal a homer. So if you harvest a homer, the seed that you get from it is only going to grow another ephah. That's pretty pathetic. And same thing, a bath, you should be able to get a bath of stuff from it. It may be 1 acre. 10 acres, this is complete drought, pestilence, famine, that would be the term. Anyways, verse 11. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp, and the viol, and the tabret, and the pipe, and the wine are in their feasts. But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operations of his hands. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp. And he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. But the Lord of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and God that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness. Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places of the fat ones shall strangers eat. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin, as it were, with a cart rope. That say, let him make speed, and hasten his work, that we may see it, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh, and come, that we may know it. Now this is something definitely for the modern day. First of all, we have woe on those. Talking about those who follow strong drinking, we're not necessarily talking about specifically drunks. This is anybody who is the party culture. That's what he's talking about. The reveling and the endless, this is college keggers. This is what it's talking about. But because of this, everybody, the world is going to captivity. Back in the day, Jerusalem, the Jews, Israel, it was all taken into captivity. But this is talking about hell bringing people into captivity. This is a spiritual captivity, a parallel. We have the physical captivity of ancient Israel and the spiritual captivity of the modern day. But I love that last part there, that last part. Let's say, let him make speed and hasten his work that we may see it. Now, how many times have people said, oh, if God really wanted me to know, he'd show it to me? How many have had people tell them that they're crazy, they're just, that you shouldn't believe that that Christ is actually going to return. If he was going to return, he would have done it by now. This is a very common argument of the modern day, that we've been waiting so long, it's proof that he's not coming. But these are the people that are going to be judged first. But, verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward, and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. Therefore, as the fire devoureth the stubble, and the flame consumeth the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of the Lord of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore is the anger of the Lord kindled against his people, and he hath stretched forth his hand against them, and hath smitten them. And the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Again, think of the modern day. Those who call evil good and good evil, changed light for darkness, sweet. How many times have we had people say, oh, we got to be compassionate. We got to accept the wickedness, accept the gay movement, the homosexual movement, accept all this evil going on, the transgenderism. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one. But they are calling good evil and evil good. But I do want to point out that last part there. Even though all this destruction is coming upon you, the hills tremble, the carcasses are torn in the midst of the street, but it says, for all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Meaning that he is still willing to forgive. He is still willing to welcome back Israel, if they will just turn back to him. But let us finish this chapter out. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. None shall be weary, nor stumble among them. None shall slumber nor sleep, neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken. Whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion. They shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. Now that gives me the impression, like their hooves counted as flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. My mother once said that her theory was this, talking about trains. And he shall hiss forth. He's going to call them. The hiss, this is a whistle. He's going to call to them, and they will gather to Zion. And their journey will be so swift, they will not be weary, they will not sleep, they will just come. And so my mom told me that she believed this is trains, modern transportation, starting with the train and going into the modern day. Because also, lay hold of the prey and shall carry it away safe. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Anyways, let us now take a look at the Joseph Smith translations for chapter 5. Again, there's quite a few of them, so let us go through this quickly. So verse 1 says in the King James, "Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard." This says, Joseph Smith translation, "And then will I sing to my well-beloved." So with that change, this does become a continuation of chapter 4 instead of an addition put on later. So now we have in verse 4, it says, "Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes?" And we are just switching some words around in the Joseph Smith translation. When I looked that it should bring forth grapes, it brought forth wild grapes. Just a grammatical correction. Verse 5, "I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be beaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down." Joseph simply adds in, "and it shall be beaten up, and I will break down the wall thereof." So I will take away the hedge, and I will break down the wall. Again, just a slight grammatical clarification. Verse 7, "For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant, and he looked for judgment, but behold oppression." Just again, and he looked for judgment, and behold oppression. So again, minor grammatical correction. Verse 8, "Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth." We take out the reference to fields here, and the Joseph Smith translation just says, "Woe unto them that join house to house, till there can be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth." And it makes more sense to take out the fields, because if you have the fields, if two fields are next to each other, you still have the field, you still have a way of being fairly separate from each other. But anyways, verse 9, "In mine ears, said the Lord of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitants." So here, of a truth, so the Joseph Smith translation, "Of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, and great and fair cities without inhabitants." That makes a little more sense too, clarifying that this time about cities and not just houses. Verse 11, "Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them." Just Smith alters this, "that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, and wine inflame them." Again, simple grammatical alteration. Verse 21, "Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes." Joseph Smith corrects this, "Woe unto the wise in their own eyes, and the prudent in their own sight." Again, just grammatical change. Verse 22, "Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink. And again, just woe unto the mighty to drink wine, so grammatical change. Verse 28, whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent, their horses' hooves shall be counted as flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. The Joseph Smith translation, whose arrows shall be sharp, and all their bows bent, and their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint. So, again, minor grammatical correction. And finally, in verse 30, and in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold darkness and sorrow. And Joseph just corrects this, and if they look unto the land. So again, just a minor grammatical correction. And that's pretty much all this chapter is minor grammatical corrections. So, see you in chapter 6.